By the way, here in Virginia Beach, where we're located, the temperature is going to be about 71, very moderate. And people say, are you going to ride your horse? The answer is absolutely. But across most of the country, it's below zero. And that has led to deadly conditions on roads, including fatal accidents.
The cold weather has hit from the upper Great Plains, and it's brought ice to Texas and Arkansas. Forecasters are calling it the coldest weather system in decades. Charlene Israel has the story.
Across the country, temperatures plummeted overnight. A cold weather system delivering a wintry punch to 24 states. Meteorologists say it's one of the coldest air masses to hit the U.S. since the 1990s. Slick and icy roads are making driving conditions dangerous, causing hundreds of accidents. Fatal crashes have been reported across several states, at least 5 of them in Minnesota.
Oh, we're gonna hit! We're gonna hit!
People started going into the ditch, losing control of their vehicles.
But the dangerous conditions aren't stopping postal workers in northern Minnesota, even after 2 feet of snow.
It's not always the most enjoyable time of year when we have bad weather conditions, but we all try to stay in the Christmas spirit.
Forecasters say a new storm is expected to develop today in New Mexico and West Texas. The Texas Department of Transportation says it's prepared.
We already have all of our equipment and manpower strategically placed throughout the district, and they're in areas where they can be quickly and easily mobilized when the time comes.
Unfortunately, the storm is expected to hit just in time for the Dallas Marathon. Runners say they're not sure they're prepared for the wintry conditions.
I don't run on ice being from Houston.
Widespread power outages are expected as the storm continues south and then east. The National Weather Service warned that heavy ice and snow accumulations will likely bring down power lines, leading to outages that could take days to repair. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Where is my good friend Al Gore when you need him? We're supposed to have global warming. Somebody didn't get the memo.
You know, it's beautiful when you see it, but it's deadly
lovely.
when it comes unexpectedly to areas that aren't able to handle it. So.
Well, it's I mean, I grew up in the mountains, and of course we had snow, and you got used to it. Down here, if you get a half an inch of snow, it's like a freak out time. They close the schools. I mean, it's
the
just
difficult part for a lot of warmer areas. It's rain first,
and then freezes.
And then it freezes.
That's deadly.
So
That's worse than anything. But anyhow, we pray for the areas, and it's kind of, people say, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Well, you might have it this year.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting fact. It has been assumed that President Obama got the youth vote, that the college students were with him. But surveys now show that the president is losing some of his most important supporters. This is a shocking story that John Jessup is going to bring us from Washington. John.
Pat, that's right. Young people are abandoning President Obama in big numbers. In fact, many of them say they would vote to throw him out of office. Those are some of the findings from a new poll by the Harvard University Institute of Politics. The president's approval rating among young people has fallen to 41%, and 52% of those from 18 to 24 say they would vote to recall the president if they could. Younger Americans don't like Obamacare or the government surveillance program, and they're concerned about their future. The poll also found a growing disillusionment with both parties and Congress. Deadly threats to an American pastor imprisoned in Iran are increasing. The American Center for Law and Justice reports Pastor Saeed Abedini repeatedly has been robbed and threatened at knifepoint by other prisoners. The ACLJ also says his health is quickly deteriorating in the prison where he was recently transferred, and Iranian authorities refuse to give him his medication. ACLJ Chief Counsel Jay Sekulow is in Europe, meeting with key foreign diplomats and world leaders. He's urging them to apply pressure on Iran through increased sanctions for Pastor Saeed's release. To find out how you can make your voice heard for Pastor Saeed, by log on to our website at cbnnews.com. Pat?
How can Secretary of State John Kerry be clapping his hands with glee over a nuclear arms decision and treaty when these Iranians are sticking their finger in our eyes. I just don't understand it. Nor can I understand the PR consequences of something as vile as this. I mean, this is an American. This guy, sure, he may have been born an Iranian, but he's an American citizen. And he's being held because of his faith. He's a Christian. And for the Iranians to do this, I mean, who are they kidding? I mean, what a terrible black eye in front of the world. And yet we're buying it and we're smiling and saying, oh, it's the Arab Spring and all that kind of stuff. And we don't have to worry about their nuclear weapons. Yes, we do have to worry. John?
Pat, 1 in 6 veterans struggle with mental health and drug issues, and many of these men and women who once protected our freedoms now find themselves in trouble with the law. This week in Washington, the spotlight was on one promising program that could keep vets fighting addiction out of jail. John Waggy has that story.
Returning to a normal life can be a big challenge for the defenders of our country, especially the 2.5 million who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. One group estimates that the number of veterans treated for mental illness or substance abuse has jumped nearly 40% in the past 10 years. At a conference this week in Washington, advocates hailed the judge-supervised programs, saying they have a high success rate in keeping people out of jail and can do the same for veterans trapped by addiction. One such advocacy group, the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, participated in the conference. In a recent television interview, the group's CEO, West Huddleston, said, "We can literally cut crime up to 50%. That saves taxpayers a ton of money." A drug court graduate says it saved his life. "I started to have pieces of my life that I had lost come back to me," he told viewers on the same program. Drug court advocates want to see these programs target vets who are struggling with addiction as well, and government leaders are hopeful.
Instead of either jailing veterans who have been brought up in charges or simply releasing them back to the streets, you have underwritten treatment as a powerful option for dealing with those who have broken our laws.
The NADCP claims 75% of their graduates remain arrest-free at least 2 years after leaving the program. They also say taxpayers save more than $3 in criminal justice costs for every dollar invested in the program.
If we're going to break the cycle between incarceration and homelessness, we'll have to raise our level of collaboration and leverage all of our assets to address these factors which seem so pervasive when dealing with troubled veterans.
John Waggy, CBN News.
For 8 days at this time of year, Jewish people around the world celebrate Hanukkah, a holiday marking a great victory 2,000 years ago. Chris Mitchell visited the old city of Jerusalem and shows us the beautiful lights marking this year's celebration.
Thousands of Israelis come to Jerusalem's old city at Hanukkah to celebrate and see the lights. All over the world, Jews say special prayers, thanking God for miracles past and present, and light a special candelabra or menorah called a Hanukkah for 8 days.
This is a holiday about spirituality. This is a holiday about values. This is a holiday about connecting to God. So many Israelis come here. Everybody's attracted to the light.
Also known as the Feast of Dedication, Hanukkah is not mentioned in the Old Testament, but it is in the New Testament. Now it was the Feast of Dedication in Jerusalem, and it was winter, and Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. CBN News joined Rebecca Spiro and her family for the Jewish celebration.
It's a holiday that celebrates religious freedom and our victory against oppression and our ability to rededicate the temple.
And her children?
The presents and the parties and the lots club.
We have groups coming all the time, and we go on trips, and it's fun, and it's just fun.
In the 2nd century BC, the Jewish people in Judea revolted against the Syrian Greek conquerors. The Seleucids tried to impose their culture, forcing the Jews to eat pork and forbidding Sabbath observance, Torah reading, and circumcision. Worse still, the Seleucids defiled the Jewish temple in Jerusalem and dedicated it to the Greek god Zeus. Led by a priestly family known as the Maccabees, the Jewish people retook Jerusalem and rededicated the temple. But when they wanted to light the menorah, there was only a tiny bit of sacred olive oil left.
We celebrate the 8 days that the menorah burned, which is a miracle. It was beyond nature, and also the military victory.
Eating fried foods like potato pancakes and jelly donuts is another Hanukkah tradition. Spiro's family and neighbors also have their own personal tradition to build unity between secular and religious Israelis.
Every single year we bring out a table of drinks, and thousands of people come to the old city for Hanukkah to look around and see the menorahs and light, and then we give out hot drinks to all the people that come.
Spiro says there's a message in the holiday for today.
The world's coming up against Israel. The wolves are circling the sheep. This is nothing new. And the message of Hanukkah is that no matter what happens, our candles burn bright. And civilizations have come and gone, but the Jewish people are still here.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem's Old City.
An iconic Norman Rockwell painting about praying in public has been sold at auction for a record-setting $46 million. The painting is titled Saying Grace, and it shows a crowded restaurant with a grandmother and grandson praying at their table. Sotheby's says it's the highest price ever paid at auction for a Rockwell painting. The image first appeared on the cover of the Saturday Evening Post magazine's Thanksgiving issue in 1951. Another Rockwell painting, called The Gossips, sold for just under $8.5 million, and his Walking to Church painting brought in a little more than $3 million. And finally, the man who survived in freezing water at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean for 3 days says he owes his rescue to prayer. He was only wearing boxer shorts and only had a Coke to sustain him. Harrison Okene, a Nigerian cook, is the lone survivor of a 12-member crew of an upended tugboat. Footage of his rescue more than 6 months ago was just posted online this week. Okene found an air pocket in the boat and says he was praying to God the whole time, reciting Psalm 54, also called the Prayer for Deliverance. His wife sent him the passage of Scripture by text message before he went to bed that night. He believes his rescue after more than 60 hours at 100 feet underwater is a sign of divine deliverance. God, our helper who delivers in time of trouble. Pat, that's a miracle indeed.
Well, it's a miracle in that freezing water. I don't know how in the world he survived that. I mean, he always got on boxer shorts. I mean, dear me.
Yeah, that they would even recognize that he was still there.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
And then they were reaching down, and all of a sudden his hand goes up and grabs one of them. He must have thought, here's a dead body reaching out to me. I mean, it's a tremendous miracle. I mean, he was reciting the Psalms over and over and over again. God looks after his people. You know, that's important.
Prayer will stay in a South Carolina county for now. A federal judge has ruled that Greenville County schools can continue to allow student-led prayer and hold school events and places of worship while a lawsuit over the issue continues. The American Humanist Association filed suit earlier this year against the county, seeking to prevent future events in religious venues. The suit says a student was offended and distressed when Mountain View Elementary held its graduation ceremony at a Christian university chapel. Egypt's most famous Christian convert from Islam has been arrested by national security forces. Mohammed Higazi had fought publicly to try and change his religion on his ID card. Higazi and his family had been running for their lives after Muslim leaders pronounced a death sentence against him. Muslims who change their religion in Egypt face persecution. Higazi previously told CBN News he had been jailed and tortured by Egyptian state security agents who wanted him to return to Islam. Now, Mideast Christian News reports he's been arrested again. And you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.